Hi. Oh, bless you all. Thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, we're here for the Zoom, which is our joined at the hip and our lovely floral gathering. Okay. So, and these are fabulous. I've really enjoyed these and I think how cute they are. So on here, we've got obviously our joined at the hip, and this works really well with the Douglas die as well. And then we've got this floral gathering, and I love the floral gathering because it's a swift, and also it goes with the gathering of gatherings. It's another addition to it, which is wonderful. So on here as well, you've probably already found that with the joined at the hip, we've got two different reflections. So we've got two different colourways. We've got the light brown and the darker colour. But remember, with these lighter ones, you could always add a little bit extra colour on this. And I think how nice would this also be to pop a little bit of snow and glitter on the back, adding a little bit more extra inking on the back of this as well to add it to a snowy scene. But these are super, super cute. I really, really love those. But then we've also got then the little floral gathering, and this one we've got multiple colorways, which again is fantastic because it goes, not only can you then add ink to these and change them, but it goes a lot further with what you've got, your paper stock and things that you might have at home as well, which is wonderful. And then also I like it when we've got something like this that's a swift, because whatever I cut out, it's a stencil. I keep the cutouts and use them as stencils and add a little bit of extra. And then I've always got a backing paper that's going to match everything else. So they're the two that we're working with. I've already got lots cut out. Let me bring this in. Look, I've cut them all out already. I've not divided into different colourways. I've not been quite as bad as that. But I've got everything ready to work with and play with. And it means that it's so much fun. I am absolutely loving these little gatherings, these little swift dies that we've got, because it adds a lot more to what you're actually working with, which is wonderful. So I've got my backgrounds. I've chosen some backgrounds. These are just old ones from Oddments of Anything. And I literally went into our cupboard and I just chose ones that I really liked. And some of these I'm going to cut down, so I'm not going to have all of them. So I'm going to choose which area that I'm wanting. So I'm going to fussy cut some of these to create the backgrounds to build on. So like on that one, I don't want all the washing line and everything, but I quite like this colourway here because it went with some of my florals to mix in. This one, I thought, how nice is it already that I've got the horse in here as well. So I can use the horse and bring these forward, because it's not unlikely that you would find them near each other. So they could be, you know, tell a story, visiting friends. So that's another one that I really liked. So again, these are just random ones that I found. I like this one because I can build up that depth, because obviously we've got the trees, the houses in the background, and then the fields and the hills rolling away. So I thought, obviously we've got the smaller reflections with the actual floral gathering, but I thought, how nice would that build up a really nice perspective to something. So I've been a little bit fussy about choosing my backgrounds for this particular one. And then again, for this one, I just like this almost like it's a hedgerow in a field. So I think then our lovely joined at the hip works really well with that, because again, that is something that we would naturally see. So I've looked at what we'd already got printed, and I thought, okay, I'm going to work with those. I actually like those. Some I chose for the colour, and some I chose because I thought it would build in perspective to everything. Now, a couple of things on this one. Right, okay. So on this one, I've got our David's been in with his glitter again in his Christmas edition. I don't know if you've all just joined in with his Zoom. And I've got glitter and everything all over, so I apologise if everything's a bit sparkly. So on our joined at the hip, it's 2 dies. Okay, so we get the outside die and we get obviously the detailed die. Now, sometimes I think with some of them, I personally, I like to use the outside dies as using it as a shadow. But also, I think when you've got something like this, it really does create a real fun card blank. So what I've done is I've cut it twice because I'm going to do a couple of different things. And I'm also going to use the different colourways as well. So what I've done is I folded my piece of cardstock in half like we normally do. I've laid my die that way over the top so it's overhanging, and I've cut it out, so now that's creating me my card blank. And I'm not going to worry that it's not stood up straight, because I can use some of my florals and have them hanging over and level everything up. And then to finish it off, because I've cut that edge off, I can then pop that on there, okay? Now that was my first one. So that's one way of using a card blank, creating a card base. Then on this one, I'm going to hold my hands up to this. I thought, right, okay, a different way of using it. So I put 2 card pieces together and cut it out. But then it moved on my die machine and I lost a bit of his bottom. So cut myself another one and pop that on there. But just pretend for now that had cut out of 2 pieces. So the alternative way is just scoring along there. And actually, so you don't have to create it and cut 3 pieces. So you've got a double one there and that one on top. You can actually just create it with 2 layers. So, but I thought I'd show you my mistake. And then the other one I've done is, one of the things I really love about working and having the outline die is because we can have an aperture. Then we can either have them on the front of the card, like so. So they're almost walking into a tunnel of themselves. Or we can sit them inside. So that way, they are also still the feature of the card. So we can decoupage all of this up, but then we can build around here and build a lovely wreath of florals around them as well. And then inside here, I'm going to use one of my backing papers that I showed you that I've chosen. So that is another way. And then, I don't know, again, I'm just guessing that you've seen the new collection of the Gatherings of Gatherings, and we had the frames. So I've made myself a little frame, but also we have the die with the wooden edges. So I've just snipped into it and snipped off pieces and created myself almost like little, they can use any wood effect, especially if. One of the things I love textured embossing folders. Now, I don't use it nearly enough as what I could. So you could also use an embossing folder and cut out strips and then add these in as well. And then just use your little gems, drops, and pop them on as if they're like little rivets and things like that. So there's so much that you can do with these. I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on with all of this, because even though they're only 2 dies, what you can make with them is incredible. And also they are beautiful to add to all of your other 2 Red Robins collections that you've already got, because these are going to add perspective and it's a little bit something different. And especially if you've got a box frame or you've made an aperture in a card, to have these and have the other animals facing this way. And allotment gossip, this would be fantastic with the allotment gossip collection, if that's what you got, building up that story. Again, they can be sat on the outside looking in and having a conversation about what the birds are doing and things. So there's so much we can do with these. Even though there's only 2 dies, there's loads of versatility with this. So first one, really quick, super easy. Where's it gone? Is this one. So this is the one where I took my outside edge die, cut it into it, and this is 240 GSM cardstock. So the die, the outline die, has cut through 480 GSM to cut that. So that's how good a quality the dies are, which is just wonderful. So a little bit of wet glue on here. And you'd take a lot more time over gluing and things of yours. This is just, it's more about the inspiration really. So that's my little card blank. But how lovely is that as a gift tag? And I know there's certain brands, especially for the men in our lives, because we always complain that we can't make anything for them. That I know there's certain brands of beers and things and different things that have got cattle on. That would be fabulous as a little gift tag to add on to that. I just think it's fabulous. And again, changing the colourways on everything just works. So I'm now going to change it up a little bit, because as much as I love this glasses on, I'm going to snip out. I'm not going to snip this one out. Look at where, so that's Mommy's leg. So I'm literally, as you can see, my scissors jump to the next little pip. I don't even have to think about it. It just jumps across to where this is going to cut out. And that's because of our fabulous designers that do all the work for us and make this as easy as they do. So now we've got Mummy or Daddy, but they don't have to have, they can have one like that. They can have a different, so they've got a different tone, colour. But then, chop another one out. Like so. Cut around all those pips. We've got twins, so you don't have to use the one. But then, I'm not sure if Highland cows, mummies and daddies, have the horns. Andrew's on the Tinterweb as we speak. He's going to have a look, because I'm not sure, because I don't know whether they both have one. They might do, or do they not? Because then if we snip the horns off, we can then sneak that in there. And we've got a daddy, a mummy and twins. So you can really build these up just by snipping into everything. And I think by having that other tone of the baby, it breaks it up and really shows the versatility. Okay, so a little bit of trivia. Andrew's had a look on the Tinterweb. Now, they do differ, but they both do have horns. So this one is definitely a mummy, because the mummy's horns are longer and thinner, and the daddy's horns are shorter and thicker, and they're not as curved either. So both parents do have them. So because I've overlapped that and we've only got the short horn at that side, if I chop off that one, that definitely shows that we've got a daddy, a mummy, our twins, all lined up together. So I'm going to stick those down before I go any further. Thank you for that, Andrew, for your little bit of assistance in the trivia. Must remember that one for the next quiz. We all been? Have we enjoyed our bank holiday? Did we all have a good time? So I've popped a little bit of foam tape on this just because I've already shaped it and I don't want to crush this. So by going over the edge, like I have done, I've got the next one. And I'm not going to worry that I've got that extra piece there at all, because we can always disguise it. So again, this one is going on. And this is going to be the tuck in. But before I tuck that in, I'm adding my tape. And again, because of all this detail that's in these dies, which are fabulous, like so. And also we've got, what deal have we got on with us today for our section, Andrew? We've got our storage, haven't we? So we've got some fabulous storage. This is our deal for you today. So if you add in the small die folder or the large die folder into your basket, if you drop. So once you pop them into your basket, you get the inserts, the wallets for free that go with them. So I think that's fabulous. So if you purchase your storage, you're getting the actual inserts for free, which is brilliant. So if you buy the small storage, you get the small and the medium wallets. And then if you buy the large wallets, you don't just get one size, you get the large and the extra large wallets. So they're for free. So you're getting buying 2 of the folders, but you're getting 4 lots of, or you get 1 folder and 2 lots. It's however you want. I mean, if you were thinking of buying just a small, would it work also, Andrew, if they buy 2 of the small or 2 of the large? So if you buy 2 of the large, because they're the only ones that the dies that you're using at the moment, you're going to get 4 lots. So you're going to get a small and a medium twice over to go with the actual wallet, the storage that you're getting, which is wonderful. That is actually my main size that I like to get, is the small and the medium. They're the ones that I use more of. So we've got our 2 adults, and then I'm going to cover that over and add in that one, and then this one. And this is why I wasn't worried about it standing up properly, because I'm going to line up the other little twin like so on there. Oops, come on, stick. And I'm going to make sure that the legs are stood. So that is going to stick on there like so. And now we can bring in all of these pieces. Now, I love the fact that it's a Swift. So it's only 1 die, but look at all the pieces that we're getting, okay? So it's 1 die, but it's 2, 4, 6, 8. You're getting 10 elements cut out in one go. So this is where we play pick and mix. And I love this, that we can get all of these out. And also we've got the different colourways, which are fabulous. So I'm just going to bring in my foam pad. All I'm going to use to actually shape these is the back of my ball tool, pokey tool. Okay, so now I can choose what elements I want on this, and it doesn't really matter, just play with your colourways. Again, I could go with, see on this one of my favourites, I know these are weeds, but I love them for something like this because they're so natural. These are the main things. I know they're a pain for all the gardeners, but these are the things that we see out all of the time. So now I can create, oops, I'm going to tuck that in like so, pop that on there. And then, like I say, we've got, look at these, aren't they just absolutely delightful? To give in that perspective is just wonderful. And I must admit, out of all the 2 red robins that we could have, the actual gatherings of gatherings and all the little ones are the ones I'm drawn to pretty much most of the time. So, and now I've got that one there. And the big one as well, if you've noticed, the big one goes to the right, and this little teeny one goes to the left. So they even grow in different directions. So that, as quick and easy as it is, all I've used is I've created myself a little card blank, and I've just used our little joined at the hip and some of the florals. There's not much on there at all, but it's so versatile that we can do so much more with it. I love this. I just love this die. So we've gone from having just that one little one to having a whole family just by snipping into them, and it's not using much of your cardstock either. This is really super quick and easy. So I just love that one. So the next one is going to be, I'm going to build in my frame. So pop all them to that side. Now, it's just a normal frame, nothing fancy. You don't even have to make a frame and make it 3D. You could just cut out strips and create it around the edges. So now I'm going to use this and actually find the piece that I actually want, which is about there. I'm going to make a mark and then bring in the guillotine. Do a little bit of chopping. So now, take that edge away, because I don't need that piece. But I won't get rid of that. That is still something that I can use for definite. Again, this is the kind of measuring I like to do. So I want as much of that as I can have. So I'm going to leave that white strip on there, like so. And keep an eye out. I know I'm using this particular box frame, but we've got something really super special coming as well, which I know I think is just fabulous. But I didn't tell you that. Secret. So now, I've now got my frame, and I'm quite happy with how that looks. So, a little bit of glue, and I'm gluing to the inside of my frame. That way I know that I'm going to capture that image and actually stick it to my frame. I don't glue to this outside edge because the amount of times I've put glue on the outside edge and then the bit I've cut is too small. It doesn't capture the glue. Like so. There we go. So that is now that piece. Now we can have a... So even though I know this is the card, but by popping that inside there, how lovely is that? And now I did this because I want to use this crescent. So this could then be, cute would this be to be a Mr. and Mrs. card, to put both adults on it. So now I'm then using the archway around there. So that was the card base. But again, that's the idea of working with... I thought that one, I like these. I really love these. So where are my little people? My little people. My little... Joined at the hip. So now, on this one, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I want to actually really extend and bring out and create decoupage layers on this one. So I'm going to take that piece away. So that, a whole one, is my first layer. Oops. Okay, and each time I'm going to shape, I'm just pulling my fingers and actually adding a little bit of shape to that. My second layer, because I'm looking at this point being the closest to me. So I've taken away that edge, okay. And I'm going to trim some of the horns down eventually, but until I've actually got the layers that I like. So then my next piece, I'm going to take away that side first and the horn, because I don't want that. And I want to keep the tail. So I'm going to chop away the tail, but I'm not going to get rid of this piece just yet because... So that's then that layer on there, and I shall add some shape to that. Then I want our lovely little calf. So I'm now going to cut into the calf and chop away that piece. Okay. So now my little calf is forward. Then the next one, I want the calf. I'm not going to get rid of any of my bits just yet because they could be tuck-ins for other images as well, especially how I've just created the two parents. Let's chop this away. like so. And I'm wanting to bring him really forward. So now I'm going to take that away. So I've taken the front legs away because they're further away from us. And then finally, it's a good job I cut lots of these out, isn't it? Don't know whether I'm going to leave it. I might leave it at that one. I was going to actually chop the tail and have the tail as well, but I'm happy. I'm going to leave it at that. So now I can layer all these up. But for this one, I want to layer it up a bit more. I want to shape it. So I'm going to curve it. And because I've curved it that way, I'm just going to pinch that like so. This piece that I left on is going to be my flat piece. So I'm going to glue that piece on flat and have the rest of it free. Could even put a bend in it as well if I wanted to. So that gives me quite a lot of layers. But I want those layers, I want this piece to be quite heavily decoupaged and come forward, because that's what's going to add the definition to the rest of it. And I've only put extra tape on there just because I don't want it to get squished. Let's take that away from there. Are we all okay? Are you all still with me? Any questions at all? Please shout up. So that is going to go on there. And then the next one again, I'm using 5 by 3 mil, I think it is. Put a little bit on his ear. And then the last one where his ear is, I'm going to bend it forward towards me. I'm going to put a little bit of a bend in it to bring him to life. So take all that away from there. That is now going to sit on there like so. And now we're really getting that the layers behind him. This one or not. Oh, thank you, thank you, Glenda. Andrew's just read me what you commented. I know, and when you look at it, adding in the second calf or doing them as parents, it's when you start working with it that the ideas come, and you think, oh, well, I know I've only got one of each, but I don't have to have one of each. So now, all I've put a little bit of glue on there, and then I'm going to get my tape, and I'm going to stick with my foam tape again, but I'm actually going to slice down the middle. I could do with the manufacturer making tape that's this thin. I know it never stay on the reel. And then I put that back on there because I do very frugal. I don't like waste, but I think that's us as crafters in general, aren't we? So take that off of there. Because that tail is flat at the top, I'm just going to push on it a little bit. Can you see how much difference it makes by making the tail like that? I'm going to lift it up and move it around so you can see in fact, just a second, let's get some white card. There we go. So on there you can really see it's quite decoupaged up. Now, because we've got all these horns on here, we don't need all of those. Let's get rid of that one. It just makes it a little bit easier. Now, I want to position these here as if we're walking into that field. Okay, so the farmer's house is down here, and I'm thinking about telling the story all the time and the pieces that I've chosen. So I want them, so these are going, so they could be going back into the farm, wandering down. He shouted them in or called them in. I know there's a farming terminology in there somewhere that I should be using correctly. And I've just added the glue where I'm going to touch on my frame, like so. Just allow that to stick. Then, again, got this smorgasbord of all these goodies that we can now play with. So, These are the smaller ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the smaller ones actually in here, because they're further away from us, but I want the bigger ones to build around the actual joint at the hip. Just for speed, can you tell this is actually, this weed is one of my favourites. So then, do you know all the names of these, by the way? If all of you know, because I should know, I should be far better than this. My dad would be really telling me off now, saying, I taught you what that was called. Yeah, but I've forgotten. And now, because we've got these little elements here on the end, that now is really good for tucking in. So having these ones, we're building that high. I don't know if they grow that tall. Who knows? Then this one is then going to be, I'm going to turn it that way, and then it's going to disguise the base here. So I'm just going to lift up that piece, tuck it under there. So that is now hiding my workings for where they have been tucked in. I do love these. So if you've all got the collections, have any of you worked with yours yet? Have you got them out the packets and had a play? No, not even once. Have you printed the reflections off or anything? You're waving that. I've got them here. Okay then, so I need you to promise. Don't know what's happened to my hair today. I've had a floofy hair day today. When I've done, are you going to cut them out and have a go? Yeah. More rags, yeah. She's nodding. I promise. And then put it on our Facebook page. So when you've done it this afternoon or later on, because I know when we've done it's 5 o'clock, it's tea time and all of that. When you've made them, put them on our Highlight Crafts website for me so I can see that you've had a play. Glenda, you only ordered it yesterday and you're with us today. Brilliant. Love it. That's commitment, Glenda. Thank you for joining us. So now, am I giving you the right inspiration, Glenda? Are you thinking that you might be getting it out the packet and having a go? I know Andrew will tell me in a minute. Oh, no, it is, isn't it? But the thing I love about this is I've got all these colours in the background and we've given you the different colourways. So now, those that I've already popped in here, I'm going to build up in the background. I don't know what this is called, but I really like it. I'm going to tuck in, I'm going to build a little something in the background. So where's my other colourway? I've got another colourway of that. What one is it? That one. And I suggest if you can get this storage or storage little elements like this, it's fabulous because it's so quick and easy to have everything cut out, raring to go to then just play. Actually, if I'm going to be absolutely honest, I'm not really going to think too much about building my actual elements, my picture. I put more thought into choosing my background to go with my colourway and how I was going to decoupage my little joint at the hip than where I'm placing these, because I know, look at that as a collection in the background on there. That is beautiful. So we've even got a little one of these. So as I've disguised that base on there, I'm going to do exactly the same for this. So those flowers are growing across the bottom like that. And it's going to disguise all of that. But then all I've done on these in the background, I've just glued at the base, just a little tiny bit of glue right down here. I'll have to hold it down while it's drying. But all of this is free. So now I can lift all of these pieces up and bring it forward. And then with the movement, it's going to add to that. I'm going to get, I don't know what this is called. I'm going to get a little one of these. So I'm going to because I've got these going on. And when I've done these, shall we pop them in the post, Andrew, do you think? We could give them away. Do we need to keep them for anything? I don't think we do we? Again, how clever is it that we've got them working in different directions? So I've got this one going that way. I've built up the height and made it taller with that lovely like willowy sprig. And then this one goes the opposite way. And then I'm going to pop this across the bottom. So now I'm going to use that in the other direction because I know it's on like a crescent, but I've only put glue in 2 places. So I'm going to lift it up a little bit. Lift all these forward. So look at all this movement that I've got on my card because I've not stuck it. But this would look, even if, so then for this one, instead of it being a box, if you just got your fundamentals out and created frames and stuck them flat, maybe cut 2 or 3, layered them up so you'd got like a chipboard element, you know, the ones that you can get, and pop that on a flat card. You wouldn't even have to create a box like I've done here. You could make it all flat and it would still go through the post. Really, really easy. So either way of doing this, because that one would definitely sit in the post. But how cute is that we've got just the 2, but if I take that away and pop that little whole family on there, they all work. So the design behind it all is just incredible. So what else have I got that I can pop on here? I've already done the pink. Let's go, I want a bit of yellow. I'm going yellow. And now I'm going to snip into this because I don't really want all of that. So I'm going to snip, around there. Snip that piece off because I'm thinking about filling across the front now. I'm going to tuck that under there. Like so. If you can hear grumbling, I really do apologise. That was my tummy. Not sure if you could hear that, sorry. It's still growling. And now, because we've got these taller pieces, glasses on, I'm going to use that as a tuck-in. I want that somewhere else. But I've cut that off. To trim that off. Just trim some of that away, just so it's a little bit different. And now that's the tuck-in. So now I've just got foliage and no flowers. Oops, chucking stuff about. So I'm going to hook that under and over. And then because these are the tall ones, I can glue these in behind. So now I've got 2 for. I've actually got more out of it because I've got different elements and put them in the background. So I've balanced that up by having them on 2 different sizes and pushed one to the back and brought one to the front. So I'll have some more of that one. And then we can always, as we've decoupaged those lovely little joint at the hip, we can still add in. I'm creating a real little mess going on here, can you see? I came in with every intention of keeping this nice and tidy, but I think that's gone out the window. That goes on there. So we can even decoupage these little tiny pieces as well, as small as they are. Add a little bit of decoupage on there like so. So you can keep building and keep building with this. We could even take it up and above and round there, which I'll just do that. That is my last piece on this one. And then I want to create or build you the one that's got the aperture. So for this one, so that one's really 3D and made up. So we've done a shape card. Really quite easy, but we've created a whole family. We've got a whole family going on there. We've got something that's really quite 3D, but again, same way, you can make it flat. So all of this would go flat on a card front every time. The only thing that I've been fussy about are the backgrounds that I've chosen to put on these. And then we have our card. And again, all I did, in fact, it was the extra piece that I used for the fold over. I used an A4 piece of cardstock, folded it over, cut out that piece. Then I got my guillotine and chopped it down. And I thought, well, it's a shame not to use that card. So I created my aperture. So now bringing in our lovely joined at the hip again. So first of all, I need a background in here. And like I said, I'm not wasting anything. I would have used it. So now I want to choose whether I want the hills or I'm just going to go with that sunset. So I think I'm just going to go with the sunset. So chop all that down. First of all, lay that on there. And then I'm going to make a little mark. And cut this down. Very often I make a little mark and then can't see the mark that I've made. Or like I did the other day, I was making a card and I cut it far too small because there was a mark on the card that was actually part of the design. I thought, oh, that's my mark, so I cut it and I got a really tiny little thin strip instead of the big one I wanted. I do cause myself some aggro at times. So that is going on there. So remember, all we've done is use the outside card on this one, outward die, like so, and just cut an aperture in it. Super easy. This is going to be line up inside, like so. Now, this first layer, again, I'm going to snip off here because I want that, just not much, but I want that little bit extra decoupage for the little one. Like so. And again, when I add on my foam tape, it's going to sit inside the aperture. But with this, when you create an aperture, just think you could actually capture that and actually have the flowers sat inside and have it as a shaker card as well, especially the little teeny weeny ones. Have them inside and have them as a shaker inside it. So before I stick the little wee one on, because I know this aperture is definitely bigger than my joined at the hip, what I've done is closed it. I'm holding that in place to hold it down. So I've got a frame to work to. That is going to sit in there. And then my little wee one can sit at the side. So really you can do as little or as much with this particular one, because if you were to snip all the little calves off, you could have a field full of calves or a herd, but even if you did this, you wouldn't know it was a calf. So you could do it, because it's smaller, again, you can then use it in perspective. So you could have a whole herd of these wandering away from you. If you've got the right backing paper, especially if you've got one of the lane ones, you could have them all lined up in the lane walking away from you. So you don't have to use them that this is the baby. This could actually be your size that you're wanting to use. So now we've done that, but when you open that up, how lovely is that? But we need something down here. We need to ground them. So I think that's where this one comes in. This is for that. And again, I'm not going to stick it all down at the same time. I'm just going to tuck it under the hooves, like so. I want something a little bit extra in here. And the colourways, I love the fact that we've got different colourways. That is actually going to change the feel of my card as well. So I'll pop that there, and I can move that up. And then on this one, I don't want all of that. I'm going to chop that down. Like so, snipping in. Just a little bit of glue. I'm not going to stick it all down because I do actually like that movement when you can just add, but it's not adding much of the 3D, but it adds that interest as well, that you don't stick everything down. So now we're going to work just on the front. So I would ink around this, but I've not brought my ink in with me, so I apologise with that. But now I'm going to use some of these, but look at the colour that we've got on all of these pieces. So now, and again, we've got things that work in different directions. So pop that on that one. With my other pieces out, by having them out at the side of me, I've literally got a pick and mix of florals. So just going to a little bit of glue on there, and I'm not going to worry that those smaller ones are behind. And remember, I've got this one that I chopped those heads off. I'm not going to waste that. Edge off of that one. So even though they're smaller pieces, the little gatherings, still choppable. Is that a word? Choppable? What do you think, Andrew? Have I just made a new word up? Choppable. Choppable, snippable. Yeah, snippable. Yeah, that's a better word, isn't it? It would. Absolutely. And again, the heather in the, Morag. Thank you, Morag. Bless you. The heather in cottonwood. But also remember that heather has got different colourways. I think there's 5 colourways with that heather. So again, when you've got an aperture like this, because heather and the Highland cows, exactly, I would snip the baskets out. Is that the one that you mean? But I don't know if you've watched one of my shows. I actually used that heather. I snipped the basket out and I turned it round and I put it on the cow's head. So it got a hat on. So again, they don't have to be what we, what they say on the tin, so to speak. So I'm going to cover some of that workings up with that one, like so. That is going to go at the bottom, but I want more of these. These are the colours. I want this colourway to fill it up with lots of colour. Like this. And then some little, there we are. Them's what I've been looking for. Little ones of these. Different colours in here somewhere. They're all at the bottom because all the little bits have fallen to the bottom. So now can you see how fabulous these start building up to tuck in all along here? Even though, possibly, because I'm not really au fait with all my flowers, these might not all live in the same place as far as I know. I could have got a real random mix of florals on here, but I don't really think it matters. So now I'm going to, hello, tuck in that one. Then I want this again, the dandelion. I'm sorry, but it's not dandelion. Is it a dandelion? This is a dandelion. It is, isn't it? Should know my weeds, if nothing else, shouldn't I? My garden's full of them. So there we have. Now around the top, I'm going to use these. because these crescents are just stunning. So now in my corners, or even I'll have that a bit further out, and then bring them in and build them up. I'm not even going to cut that, I'm just going to tear it. Like that one. And I've got a lovely, I like the lemon one. So, and then the smaller one can go in the back because it's further away. That's why we have to have all the different sizes. That's now added a lot of perspective because I've got the little ones to the back and pulling all the big ones to the front. And then just take it across the top. I'm going to use them in different directions. I'll take that off. And then one of my little tiny ones, because I've created that L, I just want something to finish it off to get me to that other corner. And that gets me all the way over to the other side. So I just want to quickly, I'll show you the 3 that we've done, but also I just want to quickly go over that special that we've got. So remember, you get 2, in fact I've got them here. I can bring them in, Andrew, on the, am I all right to do that? So this is the smaller of the actual ones. So if you get that one, there are 2 packets that you get with this. This is the medium and the smaller one is about this big. So they fit inside there. So you'll get 2 of those with that one. And if you put the big one in your basket, you're going to get those 2 as your freebie. And just so you've got relative, so you know the size wise, these are actually A4. Well, actually they're a little bit bigger than A4. If I flip this over, you can see that they've already got the holes in for the ring binders. So, but this is open space. So you've got all of this that is your A4 part, and then it's still got space for your ring binders. So when I've got a collection such as what this is, and I've got backing papers that I want to use, especially if I'm crafting out and about, the A4 ones I would put my backing papers in and my scenes and things that I want. And then everything else, my dies, would go in the smaller one. So in our extra large, you're getting 4 storage wallets. You get 6 in the medium, in the large. In the large one, you get 6. In the medium, you're getting 8. And then in the smallest one, if Andrew can help me, is just looking, you get 10. So 10, the small one is 10. The medium, you're getting 8. In the large, you're getting 6. And in the extra large, which is your A5, you're then getting 4 of the wallets. But there. And all you've got to do to get all those storage wallets for free, and these actually, to get these free, it's such a fabulous deal, is just pop your storage wallets in. So if you want to stock up storage folders in, sorry, so the red binders, pop them in, and then you're going to get 4 lots of storage. If you buy one, if you get one of each, you're going to get 4 lots of storage wallets for free. So love that we've got that. Yeah. So moving back, we've done several different ways of using this. And remember, if you've actually already got your gatherings of gatherings, etc., just think of all the things that you can add to this. So I've managed to make all 3 of these with just these 2 dies. But the gathering of gatherings are the ones that have got, you've probably seen them, the ones that have got the little buckets and things like that in there as well. So they would also add. So we've got our lovely little frame. We've got our simple little stand-up card. And then we've got that aperture that we've created that stands up And we've got our lovely little family in there wandering away. So just out of those 2 dies, we've managed to do all of that. So thank you very, very much for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure. Is there any, before I quickly go, are there any questions? No, we're all shaking his heads. No. Lovely. So yeah, thank you so much. Have so much fun with your collection. And remember, if you get it out now and have a play, because the inspiration is there. Well, I hope the inspiration's there. I hope I've done my job right. It means that you'll be able to put them on later. Yeah, and also don't forget, you're going to get that the link so you can watch back anytime. So if there's anything here that you think, oh, what did you say about this, or what did you say about that, it will be on the YouTube. So you'll get that link, okay, in your emails. So remember, and also in your emails, if you find that it's still not come through, check your spam and your junk as well, because sometimes computers put things like that in a different folder. So if you think you've not got it, just check other places to have a look to see if the link's been put somewhere else. So thank you so much for joining me, all of you lovely crafters. And like I say, put your inspiration on there. Show me what you've made. Okay, see you all soon. Bye.